The President-elect's senior advisor, Kellyanne Conway, she's in Washington right now. Good morning, Kellyanne. Thanks for joining us right now. You know, Democrats, that hearing for Betsy DeVos, Democrats complaining they only got 5 minutes to question her. They want to have another hearing before they go forward. It now appears that some of these confirmation hearings are slowing down. Are you concerned that you're not going to have a full cabinet in place when the president takes office?
George, we certainly hope that President-elect Trump will have that cabinet in place the way President Obama and President George W. Bush did, our two most recent presidents. They had upwards of 7 to 9 confirmed on Inauguration Day. So Friday is coming quickly. We certainly hope and expect that we'll be able to have a peaceful transition of government, which includes having a cabinet in place. Even George W. Bush, George, who came into office on December 12th, some 5 weeks after the actual election through a Supreme Court decision, there were a lot of people who felt cheated, raw nerves, hurt feelings, and yet he had 9 of his cabinet nominees confirmed in that first week, because the Senate usually recognizes that you need state and treasury and commerce and defense in place to keep us going.
Yeah, and I know there have been some issues with making sure all the ethics forms are in. But let's move on now. The president-elect clearly not happy with that series of new polls showing that he'll be the most unpopular president taking office in modern times. But the country clearly is divided. So does he feel any need in this inaugural to reach out to those Americans who don't support him?
Well, we've discussed the polls. He knows that the polls also show very important things to Americans, including your ABC News poll, like a majority saying that Donald Trump will have a positive impact on the economy and jobs. They believe he will keep us safer. But more broadly, outside of any one poll, if you look at this inaugural address, and I've seen it, you do see a president who's making good on his promise from election night, George, to be the president of all Americans, and that includes the millions who did not vote for him. That theme will be carried over into his inaugural address. It's a beautiful, elegant, very strong, powerful message. And yes, it is America first, and yes, he's a man of action. But at the same time, he recognizes that to move forward, we need to come together. We hope that the Democrats who said they're not coming to the inauguration can reconsider. They certainly are invited, because that's the way that you show America that we're coming together to solve some really significant problems.
And does the statement from the president-elect that he doesn't like tweeting mean that he's going to be tweeting less?
Not necessarily. What he is saying is that this is one of the only ways that he can actually connect and communicate directly with the American people. We are not treated fairly by many media outlets. Thank you for the platform here, George, as always. But this is the way that he goes around those who want to, I think, toxify his message and distort his message and communicate and connect. The man is the most brilliant communicator and natural connector I've ever met. And you saw last night with the diplomatic corps, I was at that dinner with the president-elect, a really remarkable historic event to have about 200 members of the diplomatic corps all in a room, ambassadors, diplomats, ministers, and to a person, they were so excited to be included. You have President Obama, fancies himself some kind of globalist, never did an event like this. You have Donald Trump coming in as the new president, getting off on the right foot, cross-religious, cross-cultural, cross-national, international celebration. Let's
talk about health care. President-elect said he has the goal of insurance for everyone, even those who can't pay for it. You've said that under Mr. Trump's plan, no one who has coverage will lose it. But the Congressional Budget Office said just yesterday that the repeal could cost 18 million people their insurance right away. So how will President Trump guarantee that everyone who now has coverage will keep their coverage?
Well, what we're saying is that people who are relying on insurance currently, George, will not go without coverage during the time of transition. He has made that clear. I think he said it at his press conference or sometime last week. Secondly, it's just a more patient-centric, free market system of buying and having health care. Why? Because you'll have a health savings account with your name on it, where you own it and you will be able to control spending. We will block grant Medicaid to the states probably. So those who are closest to the people in need, who know how to administer, will do so. And of course, the big one, that you can buy health insurance across state lines. Your viewers right now know that they buy goods and services across state lines every day. Why, in the most intimate purchase that you can make as an American for your health care, would you not be able to do that? So he wants to make sure it's truly affordable and accessible. There are Americans who have been helped through the Affordable Care Act. They will not be harmed. But there are many Americans who feel that they had great benefits and their premiums have skyrocketed, their choice, their quality, and their access has been diminished. We want to help those people.
Kellyanne Conway, thanks very much.
Thank you, George.
And tomorrow night, our coverage will continue. We're going to have an inside look at America's new first family as the Trumps head to Washington. That's a special edition of 2020, starting at 10 Eastern. Then Friday, I'll be anchoring our nonstop live coverage of the inauguration. Of course, it begins right at 7 a.m. here on GMA, continues all day through the inaugural parade.